Hi friends, it's Raina
and Drew,
and we are Instant Movie Reviews with Raina and Drew, and we're excited to see you all again. It's been a little bit since we've done another review, so I think we're doing it good, and we're hoping to see this movie a bit early, but we couldn't quite make it work with the timing, so we're seeing it on opening night. And what are we seeing today?
We are seeing Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
You have to say the Lee Cronin part.
Yes, because this is unconnected to the Brendan Fraser Mummy. This is unrelated to the Tom Cruise Mummy, which everyone would rather forget existed. This is unrelated to any of the prior Universal Mummy stuff. And it's by Lee Cronin, who, it's weird that they've put his name before the title as if everyone knows who Lee Cronin is. Lee Cronin was the writer and director of the well-received Evil Dead Rise. He did one movie, I think, called The Hole in the Ground before that, which I have not seen. I loved Evil Dead Rise, though. But yeah, I think they just put his name in front of it to try to avoid brand confusion, but they've probably created more brand confusion in the process.
Yeah, because I think people are wondering if this is part of Universal stuff because they did The Invisible Man and this, but I don't think it's connected either. I think it's just his. It's his. He wants people to know, this is my take on it. Just kind of like we've had 2 Frankenstein themed movies recently, lots of Dracula themed movies recently. So everyone's just kind of doing their take. It's funny how these trends are happening in Hollywood, and I know that it takes so many years to get a movie to fruition. So it's not like they're necessarily planning these trends. Yeah. It's just what's happening, right? It's what people are looking into. So what are your impressions so far based on, have you watched the trailer actually?
I have watched the trailer. And unusually for me, I've actually asked for spoilers from somebody who saw this last night. So as people who watch the channel know, I can sometimes get a little squirrely when it comes to depictions of graphic gore and violence. And I've also had a week, which I was telling you about. So I'm feeling a little bit more fragile than I normally am. And I've been on the fence about this one. Early reviews from critics were like, this movie is disgusting. It's absolutely revolting. Don't eat before seeing it. So I just asked this friend of mine who saw it last night. He's given me detailed spoilers. I know exactly, not the context or which characters it happens to, but I know exactly what gore is coming, but I have not spoiled it for you. No. I think I'll be able to handle it based on what I'm being told.
Yeah, I've read a couple of postings, nothing too spoilery. I did see that it doesn't have a great Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics, but it does have a pretty decent audience score, and that's been a trend for a lot of movies we've been seeing this year. I'm more freaked out, not necessarily about the gore or anything, but because the subject matter is a child, that really makes me uncomfortable, and I find I always relate with the parent characters, and then it's just very uncomfortable. I did read an article about the actress who plays the child and all the work that she put into this, and I'm really happy for her because it seems like, in general, her performance is being received very well. So even people who don't like the film are being like, the kid has a future. She's really good and talented. So that's kind of cool. I just really enjoy most horror movies. I've heard from a few other reviewers that it's like a popcorn horror movie, which is kind of what I'm looking for. I don't need anything that's going to blow my mind. Low expectations I'm going in with. I'm hoping it's just fun, crazy. Probably will have to cover my eyes at some points, but we are seeing it in IMAX just because that was the time slot that made sense for us. So we're sitting in the very back, which is like our trick for dealing with it.
Be like this.
I will know how Drew is taking it based on if I can hear his stomach making noise.
I had spaghetti, so there is a high possibility that there will be some noises coming from my stomach. So,
but anyway, I think we're gonna go in. It's not too crazy for Friday night, though. I was kind of, just for the sake of the movies that are out there, I was kind of hoping it would be a bit busier. But I went last weekend to take my son to see Mario movie, and it was bonkers. Yeah. It was the busiest I'd seen it in a very long time. So they are getting good business. I think it's the first nice Friday night we've had in a while with the sun. So maybe people are just off to doing anything. But anyway, we're off to go see it.
We'll see you in a few hours, or a few seconds, actually.
Reboot. I had to do it.
Raina needs a moment. Just a moment.
It's a very, very stressful movie, especially as a parent. I experience things that involve parenting now completely different than when I wasn't a parent. Always been a kid person, so I always get empathetic when kids are involved and parents and stuff. Always like that. It just hits different because the parents do stupid things, and part of me is screaming, "Why are you doing that?" And the other part of me is going, "I know exactly why you're doing that, because I would do it if this was real life." So Stressful.
Yeah. I didn't find it as stressful as you. I didn't find it as, it's weird. It's a gross movie. It is gross. So all the critics who are saying this is a gross, like grotesque things happen. There's a lot of horrific imagery. But again, it wasn't the kind of brutal violence that I was worried about, which I should have been expecting because it was the same thing with Evil Dead Rise. Like some truly horrible things happen in that, but it's not presented in like a realistic way, and it's
it's not realistic at all.
Very over the top. So it's weird. As I was saying to you, it's a very derivative movie. It feels like Evil Dead meets The Exorcist with little dashes of Hereditary
and
Sinister and Bring Her Back. And
it really heavily felt like The Exorcist to me. At one point I was like, this doesn't feel like a mummy movie. This feels like an exorcism movie. And the plot follows a lot of the same plot points. So, the first more than half of the film is like getting you oriented to the family and cutscenes back and forth between when the child goes missing and then the aftermath and the cop who's trying to solve it and the parallel of what's happening as the family's moved on and everything and how their lives are changed. And the cast had a fantastic rapport together. Like they really made a believable family. There were some good jokes in there. There were little bits of horror moments sprinkled throughout. And I was saying to Drew when they would happen, oh my God, I'm so glad they're giving us a breather in between these, like unlike Primate, which I felt was like a fire hose and never stopped and I couldn't breathe. Well, I jinxed myself because, by the time we hit the third act, it is just a bloody fire hose nonstop.
Yeah.
And I think there were 5 whole minutes where I didn't look at the screen because I was like, I just don't need this imagery in my head. I can't do it. I'm looking at Drew. I'm looking at the floor. I'm taking big breaths. I'm checking my time and I'm hearing everything that's happening. So I know exactly what's happening. And my imagination's almost worse, right? Yeah. I will say that for the horror fans out there, it does a lot of setting things up. So it's not that it's slow, but a big chunk of the story is setting off this, up the story for the big payoff. And I do think the payoff is worth all of that buildup.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I realized that we didn't even talk about the premise of the film in this intro because we were in a rush and both of us are a little scrambled right now. So in a very quick nutshell, this American family that is working and living in Cairo, their daughter Katie goes missing under mysterious circumstances. Then we flash forward to 8 years later. Katie is found. I'm not going to reveal how she's found. The trailer kind of gives it away, but I'm not going to say it in this review. So the family is alerted. They come back to Egypt, collect Katie, bring her back to the States. But Katie is, something's wrong with Katie.
That could be the title of the movie. It didn't have to be Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It could be Something's Wrong with Katie.
I almost want to call it The Evil Mummy, because it's like The Evil Dead meets The Mummy meets The Exorcist. I was saying to you in the theater when we saw Exorcist Believer, we were so let down by that movie because it just didn't do anything. It didn't really do anything with that premise, and it just kind of felt anticlimactic. The third act of that film is so insane, and it's what I wanted from The Exorcist Believer. So I almost feel like, can we get Lee Cronin's The Exorcist sometime?
Yeah. I definitely knew how it was going to wrap up by the time I got vibes. I was like, oh, it's reminding me of these two movies. So it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to do what this movie did or it's going to do what that movie did. And it did do what one of the movies did. It's interesting though, for the first half and a bit into the second half when all the crazy stuff is starting to happen, but it's not like a fire hose yet, it was still very believable and I could kind of understand why they weren't registering it as supernatural. But then some stuff happens that I was like, okay, all these people are seeing this happen. How does nobody think this is supernatural at this point?
There's one scene in particular. There's a lot of witnesses.
And I'm also why has nobody called the local police at this point? How are they getting away with this? And I think it's just one of those suspend your belief kind of thing for a horror film, right? Yeah. It doesn't totally make sense. The only reason I pointed out is because up until that point, they did a very good job of making things make sense and making it seem like it's reasonable that the parents don't recognize that something supernatural is going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the actress who played the older version of Katie.
Okay, so the young version of Katie, briefly in the movie, I thought she was adorable. I thought she was really good. But then when Katie is found, at first, I thought for some reason from the trailer that it was going to be no time had passed and it was the same actress playing her, but it's not. This is Katie aged up to age 17. Natalie Grace is the actress who played her. The end credits said introducing, so I'm pretty sure this is her very first role.
And there's so many articles about her now because of this role.
Yeah, she was incredible. And again, it's not a role that requires a ton of dialogue.
But it reminds me of Doug Jones and how when he's like a creature actor, or the woman who plays the nun and she's like this creature actor. Like they have this way, she has this seasoned way of controlling her body and her little movements and her like colloquially. Yes, you could leave that in because it was funny. Part of my brain buffered because like a horn started going. But you would kind of call it miming, but in the industry you call it emoting. Like she's emoting, but it's a lot like miming, right? Like she's not speaking and she's doing all this stuff. Like she was so good at it. It part of her, like it reminded me of that Guillermo del Toro film, Pan's Labyrinth, and the creature with the eyeballs in the hand, which was Doug Jones. And remember, that guy's movements were just like so in the beginning, like very, and then he was just like, wow.
It's a very physical performance, and I don't know how old Natalie Grace actually is.
I think she's very close to that, if she isn't that age.
Okay.
I was reading about her earlier.
Very impressive, and
she just seems so much more experienced. Like for this being her first role, she's gonna have her pick after this.
And again, like there have been so many movies, horror movies and not horror movies, where the child acting, I don't know what's in the water these days, but there are so many amazing performances. Ollie from Bring Her Back. The other examples are escaping me at the moment, but there are other great child acting performances that we've seen, and Natalie Grace was very impressive. Buddy from Midsummer, who played Christian, I forget the actor's Jack Reynor.
He was great.
He was great, and I just want to say again, without spoiling anything, it's so refreshing to see a dad character in these movies who is presented as actually a good dad.
A good dad, yeah. There was a lot of cool cultural references. There was a lot of jumping and back between America and Cairo, Egypt. I really liked that. You know, there's obviously the stuff that you expect with the mummy. You know, it's like, ooh, tombs and hieroglyphics and like, let's go, you know, talk to somebody who's smart about these things or whatever. So like those tropes, but at the same time, it didn't overdo it. So it didn't feel campy, you know, like it didn't feel like you were feeding into it that much. So like, I thought they did a really good job balancing that. Sound was phenomenal and terrifying and disgusting, but like good, really good.
It's so loud. Like I feel like it is a movie that you should see in a theater, because on the big screen the imagery just envelops you. And we saw it in IMAX, and I was nervous about seeing it in IMAX, but I'm actually glad that we did.
See, it's funny because going into this movie, Drew was really scared about the gore. He was worried it would bother him. He was worried about seeing IMAX, and then he had a great time. And I thought that I would be laughing and this is chill and haha, like look at this is ridiculous. And I'm the one who feels sick. And I said to him, I probably should have just watched that on streaming. Like I think seeing it in IMAX was too much for me, just like sensory, like it was overload.
But if this is the kind of movie and the kind of grotesquerie that you can handle, I really feel like you should see it on the biggest screen possible with the best audio, because there's a lot of things that happen, like sounds behind you and a lot of surround stuff. And again, the sound in this movie was phenomenal. Spooky
Astronauts, I was sent her review of the film and she called it like a popcorn horror movie, and I really do think that's a good way of describing it. Like you'll have fun. I looked around at the audience. People were stressed through the movie, you know, people were like oh, and like holding their heads, and like
I did so much of this.
There was a really tall guy in front of me who was almost obstructing my vision, and by the end of it he was like so hunched in his chair because he was uncomfortable. But you know, there are some horror movies that when I see them, it's like, yeah, this is ridiculous and fun and scary, and I'm really enjoying it. I still don't know if I enjoyed this one, Drew. I still don't know. I think I'm going to have to like think on it to know if I liked it or not. But
that's,
you know,
totally fair.
You know, like when we saw Primate, it had an interesting concept and I like parts of it, but for like half of it, I wasn't enjoying myself because I was just so exhausted of the fire hose. You need a breather. And at least with this film, it waits till the end for the fire hose. You know, which is very much what he's like, you know, him, Sam Raimi, other similar creators. You do get fire hose, but it comes a bit more towards the end.
And there were certain elements that very much remind me of Evil Dead Rise. It's very much focused on a family. Evil Dead Rise was the mother gets possessed by a deadite and she terrorizes the rest of the family. This was very family focused. There are certain things that the mummy creature does that very much reminded me of a deadite.
Oh, the special effects were really good too.
Mhm.
The makeup and costuming and how they did that, and the disgusting look of the mummies, like the skin, like they did a really good job with that. I think a mummy is haunting our video recording.
Yes, our videos fell twice, so I'll have to do a little bit of editing, but we were getting a little bit long anyway, so why don't we wrap this up before this falls again?
How are you rating it then?
So, again, it's derivative. There are certain things that it does that it's so predictable, and it's things that I've seen before, but I really like the way that it did it. So I can't give it too high of a rating, but I really did enjoy it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, just because it could have been a little bit more original, but the third act was so crazy. I loved the third act so much that's probably why I'm giving it a 7. It could have been a little bit shorter. It's over 2 hours long. Some of the you were saying the setup is good to let us know these characters, but it could have trimmed a little bit.
It could have been tightened, yeah.
But I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. But it's a positive, like smiley 7 out of 10. I don't even want to ask. What are you gonna give this?
Actually, I thought you were gonna give it higher, so I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm gonna have to put mine up, because I'm also gonna give it a 7, but different reasons. So like. I think in the beginning, I really did enjoy how it set things up. It definitely could have been a bit tighter. I also kind of wanted to see more of Katie before we got fully into the mummy. So like if we're given the comparison, you know, with like The Exorcist, like things kind of slowly start taking over Regan and everything. And then before it goes all crazy. And then once it goes all crazy, you still have these sparks, these moments of where Regan is coming through. I kept wanting that. I was like, give us a bit more, because it just like, I felt that they needed that motivation in order to like want to keep going. I think there was one thing, and that was it. And it was an uncomfortable scene. And it was fine. And that one thing was good, like a good choice, but then that was it. And I was like, oh, I kind of just like, I feel like I need more motivation. Like at this point, I'm just like, kill it with fire. Like, like you can clearly tell your daughter is not your daughter anymore. Cut your losses, save your other 2 kids. Like I didn't feel there was enough motivation there for them to believe that Katie was still in there somewhere. You know what I mean? And when we do get the answers to everything that happened to Katie, I still getting the answers. I didn't know if Katie was still in there. So I was just like, how are they going to end this? Or is Katie going to go back to normal? Is Katie going to die? Is everybody going to die? You know? So, and it, you know, and it went a certain way and whatever, and that's fine. So, that was a little unsatisfactory for me. In terms of the gore and stuff like that is not something I enjoy. And I thought I would be able to get through it because I thought it would be kind of campy and ridiculous, kind of like, that movie we saw last year that was based on the video game that ended up being really bad, where the time kept resetting.
Oh, Until Dawn.
Until Dawn.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be campy, ridiculous like that. It was like really gross body horror. Like it really, I don't know. A lot of times Drew and I go to see movies and they're like body horror this, body horror that. And it's like 2 scenes. No, this is all freaking body horror. It's all freaking body horror and then extra horror. So it was a bit much for somebody like me. I just, there were, you know, it wasn't bad. I just can't really tell you if I enjoyed it or not. And it's hard for me. I said to Drew, I don't really want to review it right away because I feel like I need to sit on it and digest it and like have a good night's sleep that's preferably not full of nightmares where my child is trying to eat my face or something, you know. Like
he'd never do that.
I mean, the mummy creature, she kind of looked like my kid, like the way her face was shaped, and so I was like projecting onto this, and I was like, oh no, this is bad. So yeah, I'm giving it a 7 as well. I think probably not a good general audience film. No. I think you need to be a horror person to go see this. So
if you're just a fan of the Brendan Fraser mummy movies and you're not a horror fan, that's not what this is.
Yeah, and
don't
it's
go
not
to
even,
it.
You know, it's not like, I mean, even the Tom Cruise one wasn't being pitched really as a horror. It was more like an adventure, kind of Indiana Jones almost. Yeah, so like it's not like that either. So it's just, you know, it's gross, it's a fire hose, and some people will really enjoy it. But yeah, I don't think it was bad. It wasn't particularly my cup of tea. Yeah.
Well, hopefully the next thing that we're planning to see will be more your cup of tea. So we have on the horizon, we're hoping to go to the Thursday night premiere next week of Mother Mary,
So
Anne
excited.
Hathaway's new like pop music based kind of thriller. Looks like it could be a little supernatural. I'm
and
interested.
Queer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, she's got her sequel coming out with The Devil Wears Prada 2. And funny enough, I had never seen that movie. So I know that's sacrilegious to say. So I watched it last weekend and gave Drew like my play-by-play of like, I don't like this Nate guy. And he's like, nobody likes Nate. Don't worry. So yeah, I did finally see it so that I could see it. We are going to be those people and go see Michael, but I don't think we'll give it a review because I think there's going to be a lot going on.
It'll get buried like our Project Hail Mary. Like 20 people have watched our Project Hail Mary review. So we're just going to stay away from the big Marvel stuff, the big blockbusters. We're going to stick to reviewing some of the small.
Hokum.
Yeah, Hokum.
I want to see Hokum. Hokum's coming out.
Obsession.
So, yeah, Obsession. That'll be close to your birthday. Or is it on your birthday?
It's on my birthday. It comes out. Yeah.
And Angie's birthday is just shortly after yours too. So yeah, lots of good horror. We say we're not a horror channel, but that's what ends up getting the views, unless your song sung blue, apparently.
or the drama.
Or the drama. The drama, I love the drama.
The drama was so good.
It keeps going up on my list higher and higher.
And it's making really good money at the box office. I'm so happy.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying the discourse around that one. I gotta watch that one when it comes to streaming. I can't wait to watch it again, just with all these extra thoughts I've had. I will not be watching Lee Cronin's The Mummy again. Just never. Like I wouldn't mind scrubbing it from my brain at this point.
And yet you gave it a 7.
I'm being fair.
Yeah.
I'm being fair,
All right, everyone, that's our review of Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Are you going to go see this? If you do, let us know what you thought. Do you agree with us that it's surprisingly a 7 from both of us? Or do you hate it? Do you love it even more than we do? Please let us know in the comments. And if you decide not to go and see this, you can let us know that as well. But anyway,
just let us know what's on your watch list. What are you going to see in the next little bit? Or do you not even bother with the theater? Do you just stream it all? Are you watching anything good on streaming? I got to say, as a sidebar, I decided to binge this, the vampire Lestat series that's out there, Interview with the Vampire. And parts of it are so good, but parts of it are so freaking cringe and cheesy. And I'm just like, how does this have such a huge fandom? But it does. And that's been fun. But I really, really like the Netflix series. I'll give a quick shout out to Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen.
I keep meaning to watch that.
I think if you like the kind of stuff Drew and I like, and you find yourself relating to our videos, you'll probably like that series. So
yeah, we don't review TV series yet on this channel, but maybe one day we'll start. But yeah, give us a like. Give us a hype if hype exists. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Leave us a comment. I think that's everything we need to say. Thank you so much for watching our little channel. We love our little audience that we're growing.
We'll see you at the movies.
We'll see you at the movies.
I don't even know if that's somebody else's catchphrase, but I stole it, I guess. And